what I'm bringing to the table with my team, it's what other companies need. And, like there is a space for everyone. Like we also, my team in general, we're pretty passionate about what we do. And that also helps you when in doubt. You are like, but I will do my best, and my best should be enough.
Welcome to the Game of Her Own podcast, your go-to place for empowering behind-the-scenes stories of trailblazing women who work in the sports and event industry. I'm your host, Jahaan Blake, and I'm honored to bring you this free resource where you'll hear firsthand accounts of how these incredible women got their seat at the table. And I will personally share strategies to help develop your leadership skills in this industry. We've got a lot to explore together. I am so glad you're here. All right, Game of Her Own listeners, let's do this. Alejandra Salazar, the founder and CEO of CROING, which is a creative and social media agency. Welcome to the Game of Her Own podcast. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, of course. Okay, so before we dig into your company and all the amazing work that you're doing, especially in sports and connecting brands to the audience, talk to us a little bit about everything in sport, the women's edition conferences. That's how we came together, right? So I'm doing a collaboration with them and featuring some of their guest speakers. So tell me how that all came to be, how the conference was, and what your role was in it.
So the conference was amazing. I think I told them like the place where they did it is just epic because it was like the Inter Stadium in Miami where now Messi plays. So I love it because they are now using bilingual communication, which is one of my focus. So I was really curious to go to the stadium, and the event was there. So that was like awesome. And I know they do different events in different stadiums as well, not necessarily in stadiums, but they do it. So in that part was magic already for me to go there. The team is amazing. Everyone were really supportive. All the speakers were really amazing. The focus, it was on International Women's Day. So it was really nice to see from athletes to team owners to CMOs of teams and like investors, like everyone talking about the power of the female audiences and the female teams. And yeah, it was just full of insights, full of learnings. I had the best time, and I spoke about how to reach these audiences, but I also learned a lot from the other speakers. So in general, it was a great event, and I highly recommend people to attend to the ones that are coming.
So you spoke at the event about how to connect with audiences. Were you on a panel? Were you a solo speaker?
Yeah, no, I was in a panel with the CMO of the Miami Sharks and Nancy from Mercury 13, which are like, they buy female sports now in Europe. So we were all together talking about, yeah. It was a finance conversation though, but I spoke about how to connect with this audience will help your finance, basically.
I mean, it's true, right? All roads lead back to money. And sometimes we don't want to talk about that because I know that I'm always like, let's talk about the other stuff. Yeah, money is implied.
Yeah.
But I have learned the hard way, if I don't connect it to money, the people at the top don't listen. Rightfully so, because if they don't have any money coming in, how will they continue to put out this product? Right. So totally makes sense. I ask everybody this. I try to help our audience with understanding that it's okay to be nervous. It's okay to, have those, pit in your stomach and not want to go, speak on a panel, even though you said yes. Were you nervous at all before you were speaking or while you were speaking?
I used to be when I started, because now I'm speaking in a lot of events. I used to be pretty nervous, especially the first one. And then the second one was a little less. And then this one, I wasn't nervous like dying. It's just like you have some expectations that you want to achieve. But as long as you know, my advice will be like, if you are going for your first time or going to any event, really thinking, okay, what's that 1, 2, or 3 message that I want people to leave after listening to me? And as long as that's clear, I think you will be good. Also, another way that helped me is like, if they invite me to come here, is because they feel I have something to say. So why would I feel, like I don't belong or something? So I wasn't nervous, but I wanted to make sure I look good, I feel great. I practice a little bit my ideas, not necessarily by, by the book, but knowing what was my goal there was important to me. So we worked together with my team prior to the event to, understand a little bit what I wanted to say. And also, normally in these events, when you are a speaker, you have like previous conversation with the other panelists, or if you are by yourself with the event organizers, so you can get a better sense of, what's the expectation. So yeah, I think it's always good to do it. Everyone has something to share, so you just need to go and share it. I will always encourage people to do it. Like, we have a beautiful voice and we just need to put it out and say our ideas. So for me, it's like a blessing have opportunities to speak. But now I've been invited to speak at different corporations and companies that they are paying me to go and speak. And I feel that's a bless, because I will, speak because of just for speaking, just to say my thoughts and my ideas, to put it out there. So, I mean, I'm also building that career of a speaker. And I think you always get nervous, but it's always nice to just do it. And then you feel great after.
Yes, yeah, I agree. And the preparation is huge. So you were on a panel and you still spent time with your team coming up with what are the key points you want to get across. So you're not even doing that alone. You are doing that with other people to make sure that you are fully prepared to give the audience what they need. And make sure they get something out of it. And really, it sounds like, I mean, you're not wasting your time or their time. So you put the prep into it. And it sounds like that's part of the equation that helps you alleviate any nerves, that and experience as well, right? You've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, of course, of course.
All right. So talk to us a little bit about, you are founder and CEO of a company. That is very difficult to do. As I understand it, you are part of the 0.1% of creative agencies founded by a woman. Like that number is, I had to read it a couple of times. I was like, wait, this is a typo, 0.1%. So what made you want to start your company?
Well, I always see my dad and my mom being an entrepreneurs. They had small companies with great success, but they never grew their team. They were always the both of them. But I saw them that excitement of not having, your salary that, it comes every month or every 15 days. But just every 3 months we receive a big payment, and it was oh yeah, fun, and let's do this, let's do that. That excitement, I like it since I was a child. So I always thought I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Also, we have this work holiday, some sort of thing, where we went to a city, and then my dad will work half of the day, and the other half we will, have fun and have vacation. So I got used to that, and that you can do if you are an entrepreneur. So I was like, okay, this is for me. I will definitely do it. And then deciding that will be a creative agency was because of my background. I wanted to be an architect, then a designer, but I always like business and talking to people and network. And, because I saw my dad doing that all the time. He will invite me to their meetings when I was 15, and he will trust that I will be there quiet and listening and even adding some comments. He will never say, don't say anything, just be quiet. He will just invite me. And I was there with him while he was, doing negotiations. So I saw that and I like it. So I wanted, and that's what I did. I think I never worked for a company. I always had my own. I started when I was 22. Yeah, so it's a creative agency because that's my passion, but it is a company that I founded because I saw that at home.
Okay, so you have this business exposure at a young age, at 15, sitting in meetings.
Beautiful.
And not being told to just watch, which is critical. That is critical that your father didn't say keep your mouth shut, that you can come in, right? Come on in. And then if you said something, you said something.
Crazy because I see it now. I have my little sister and she's 21, and she was with me at the Everything Sports event. And even that, I'm are you sure you want to come? I mean, I'm always want her to come, but I'm do you feel confident? My dad never asked that. He just invited me, come, So that trust was just so nice. And when I like this experience with my sister, I remember that. And I was like, dude, I just need to have her for, like she will learn, she will take whatever she wants. And if she want to say something, she will say it and it's perfect. I think it was a reminder for me. And now I'm like super pro on like, bringing your kid to the work and like do these type of things. And then they can decide whether they want to go or not. But having the opportunity, give them the opportunity to come to attend and not saying like, stay quiet or whatever. It's just so powerful when you grow, because it also like shows that people that love you also trust you or trust in you. So for me, that's key.
And I love how you're paying it forward and bringing your sister along too. So I'm sorry, did you say you started your business at 22? So you've never worked full time for another company?
No. I mean, I did like 1 month in Mexico, something that I was like, okay, this is not for me. And I started my company. I also support my family, but nothing, like, okay, this is my job I got. I wanted though. I thought I needed experience because some teachers at the creative school told me that I need to work in an agency 10 years. So then I can have my agency. And I was like, well, this is insane. I will do it for 1 year maybe. But I never did that. I just started. I was like, okay, if I cannot get big clients, which is what I was told, I will support others than me, like startups, entrepreneurs, because I can help them with their designs, their websites. So I did that for 2 years. And then my sister, my big sister, came and she saw my work. She's an oil engineer, but she just saw the work and she's like, why you don't work with corporations? And I'm like, no, because I'm too small. Like, I don't have experience with big clients. And she's like, let me open a LinkedIn account and get you some. And I'm like, Angie, her name is Angie. I'm like, Angie, agencies don't use LinkedIn. Oh my God. And then she just did it. And we onboarded like Novartis, L'Occitane, Sony Electronics. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Now, of course, she's the VP of sales and marketing at my company. But it was all about like just doing it and then belief is possible. And now we are here.
Oh my goodness, that's so inspiring. You rejected what your teachers or your professors were telling you, which is so bold because you are taught that they know better, right?
Yeah.
You're taught that
Actually,
go ahead.
And no, which I did, like I regretted, but I was like, okay, but I won't be able to get a big client. So I will take this path. I was like in the path thinking like I will never get a big client because they said that. So I was like, okay, then I will do something small. So I moved forward, but it impacted me though in not thinking bigger. And then my sister came and is like, why are you not thinking bigger? And I'm like, no, because I can't, because they said. And she's like, but did you try? And I'm like, what? I actually did it. And then now we work with like one of our clients is the city of Miami. I mean, we have different clients, Sony and more to be announced, but it was just because she thought we could. And then of course I also thought like, okay, let's do it. But yeah, you need to be pretty careful with advice because I feel like no one said the advice in a bad way, like to make you bad or to do something like against you. They say it because of their experience, but that's their experience. And you need to be really careful in understanding that that's their own experience. They don't have your background. They don't have your resources. They don't have your personality. And so your experience might be different. You need to know things, but you just also need to follow your gut and follow your instincts and at least try. So then you can say, I try it and it's not what I expected. And that's okay. But if you don't even try because someone tells you that you shouldn't, it's kind of hard.
Yes, I totally agree. Like I remember when I was leaving to start my own, I decided to take that leap of faith and go start my own business. And I was still at the Cubs at the time. And then I was talking to a consulting agency actually that we hired to do some work. And we didn't hire them. We were in talks and we never actually ended up hiring. But the owner was like, before you go start your own consulting agency, you should get some consulting experience. And he validated my fears. Like right? Because he had a successful consulting agency. And so he knows, right? And like, it was because I had that fear in my head and that limiting belief. So I was like, yes, you're right. And so I went to Deloitte and I hated it. And there's not, I always say there's nothing bad against Deloitte. Deloitte is a fine company. And I recommend that people, if that's the path they want, truly recommend you should go work there. But it wasn't for me. And I left within a year after lots of tears, lots of comfortable conversations with managers being like, I can't operate this way. I don't know. Like, I just didn't like it there. And so I left and finally started my own business. But it's true. You have to be so careful with the advice that you receive. You have to get it from a trusted source. You have to sit with it and make sure it really like makes sense for you and it's not them, like you just said, imparting their limitations on you.
And like thinking on, for example, my mom, she will always give me advice based on whatever she thinks it's good for me. And I will always take it that way. But that doesn't mean her advice with her experience is what I need. So even from your family members that love you madly, you need to listen and then you need to ask yourself, because at the end of the day, it's your life, the one that you are living, and you are the one that are experiencing. I work with my mom as well. And I mean, I follow her advice a lot, but sometimes she offer or say something and I'm like, no, because I think if I can try this and this and that, and then she validates my try and then I move forward and then she also learn. So I feel like it's always about respect relationship, like respectful, but yeah, following your gut and like trying and, being careful and ask for advice, but ask yourself too, like knowing yourself, it's important, or trying to know yourself, because that's such a challenge.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. My father has given me advice because he's, an entrepreneur. He's since retired, but I have to put it through a filter because it's outdated, right? It's not current. And that worked for him. I was like, oh, okay. All right, let me not completely shut this out because my dad's a very, very smart man. Okay, let me put this through a filter, bring it to the future. I know what I can do, right? I know how I can change it and make it work for me. Yeah, always take what you need, leave the rest, and make it your own. Like, you have to make it your own and fit for you. Hey, Game of Thrones listeners, Jahaan popping in here. Do you ever feel overlooked at work, or perhaps unsure how to advocate for yourself? You are not alone. And it's exactly why I've created a free training called Empower Your Career, Mastering the Art of Self-Advocacy for Promotion and Raises. In this training, I will teach you tactics like how to have meaningful interactions with your leadership team, how to increase your confidence, and there's so much more. You'll walk away with the tools to confidently seize control of your career growth. So what do you think? Are you ready to stop being overlooked and start being noticed? If you are, the link to sign up is in the show notes. Let's elevate your career together. All right, let's get back to the episode. So tell us your company, talk about the intersection of sports and the work that you do.
So basically, we focus, like our slogan is bringing brands closer to people. What we do mostly is social media management, websites, creative strategy, a lot of strategy and understanding audiences. So for example, how Gen Zs behave and what are the platforms that you as a brand should be so you can reach Gen Z. So then TikTok appears and other platforms such as Roblox, for example, which is also a game, and many more. So then when you work on social media, what happens is that everything is new. Like sometimes you hear people saying like metaverse, NFTs, Web3. Great, but there are brands that still don't have a great presence on Instagram, that they've never even think about TikTok, which is pretty, growing and stuff. So to me, we have an innovation company and we help brands to be innovative within their possibilities and within their own brand and like within their corporations. So when it comes to innovate, the first thing you need to do, because if you only think, let's say TikTok and my brand, but you don't think in the most important thing with it, which is your audience, then you won't do a great strategy, you won't be good. And this applies to, I feel, everything when you are trying to reach someone or to, You mentioned before that you work with how people interact or feel in different events. So I think it's the same. Like if you don't understand the attendees, if you don't understand the audience, then it's hard for you to build an experience, right? In our case, if we don't understand the audience, it's hard to build a strategy, a marketing strategy that makes sense. So the way I'm connecting with sport is like we saw this big movement that brands for the Super Bowl, and even before, but like these years, talking to female audiences, right? And female audiences are not a monolith. Like they are pretty diverse. There is many reasons for them to consume sports. And I feel it's important to understand that when it comes to create a strategy that speaks to them. I saw in the Super Bowl brands talking to girls because of Taylor Swift appearance in the Super Bowl. And I also know that there are female sport fans that felt kind of offended that brands never talked to them before when they have been consuming sports for years or their whole life. But now that Taylor Swift make it, something, now brands are talking to these fans that came because of Taylor, which is smart to do, but you cannot talk to the whole female audience assuming that they consume because of Taylor Swift, because that's wrong. So my whole purpose and my company purpose is to help sport teams, athletes, investors, everyone related to sport, also brands that want to partner with sports teams to find the most genuine way to do this that actually makes sense, that actually speaks to the audience. So that's the connection. It's basically all about understanding the audience first and then think what might make sense for you as a brand, as a sport team, as an athlete, or, we don't work only with sports related brands or teams, but we do work with audiences. So, it applies to Latino Hispanic audiences, to multicultural audiences, to Gen Z, like really kids. And I mean, it's the principle, like one of the main things for marketing, I feel, which is understanding audiences. And then we apply it into digital strategies.
Yes. I love that. And you've worked with some, and obviously, of course, I've forgotten them all. I was doing my research, but you worked with some really big brands.
Yeah. We work with City of Miami, we work with Sony Electronics, and we work with L'Occitane, and more clients to announce soon, because I mean, we are growing, honestly, and it has been such a great experience the last 3 years. I feel the moment we took this approach of understanding audiences first, people first, and then the rest, things change a lot because we're really adding value to our clients with this perspective, which is, it sounds obvious, but it's not. So when we come to the game with this approach, it really helps better shape strategies, and therefore we're growing. So it's exciting, honestly.
That is exciting. I know you have some organizations you're working with that you're not allowed to talk about yet, but y'all, she's working with some big brands, and it's very impressive. And I don't think you even need to talk about the brands, because just listening to you talk about your work is really inspiring. Okay, so coming in, 22 years old, starting your company. I mean, the work you're doing is very specific, right? And it's very important to organizations, right? I think all work is important to organizations, but if you can't connect with your audience, then you fail. So they're bringing you in to do some major, some big work. Did you ever feel, I always ask this and I have to, like self-doubt or imposter syndrome? I don't get that feeling from you, but did you ever feel that as you were trying to promote your company and promote yourself?
So I think I always felt I can add value. I wasn't sure though if other companies could add more value, So I haven't had the symptom of thinking, oh, maybe I'm not adding value, because I know I'm adding value. I've been like, when it comes to understanding audience, I personally been living in 7 countries already. I'm always curious about people, and like I try to be as closer as people as possible. So I know I have the sensitivity to really connect. So I know that. And I also have my background, my degrees, my experience, case studies that prove that we know what we do. And it's not only me, right? I have an amazing team of brilliant minds with a lot of success case studies that makes me feel confident every time I'm going to pitch my company or doing a job. But it's true that at some point I thought, like, why if, like everything we are giving is not enough, thinking on other companies. But then I understood that other companies might have other experience, other backgrounds, of course, other team members, but we are unique as well. So as you said, like we're part of the 0.1% of creative agencies in the world founded by a woman. We are 90% led by women. We have a multicultural team. I mean, to me, that's the best, but that doesn't mean that that's the best company in comparison to other. But I know, and we notice with the years that we connect with certain clients based on sharing the same values, or the way our team is structured, help them also, like, because it's not only the final work, but to work on a campaign, to work on a social media strategy, you work like daily with your clients. So there is this factor of connection, this factor of, I like the way you work and you like the way I work, that also plays a role. And there is a space for everyone. I believe in collaboration over competition. So I always collaborate with other agencies, even if they do the same thing I do. I feel they are unique and they can add another type of value. So I'm always like a cheerleader of other agencies as well. I never thought that, it wasn't enough. I was a little bit scared at some point that maybe others are better, but then I understood, like, yes, but I'm unique. And like what I'm bringing to the table with my team, it's what other companies need. And, like there is a space for everyone. Yeah, that's how and I really, like, we also, my team in general, we're pretty passionate about what we do. And that also helps you when in doubt. You are like, but I will do my best, and my best should be enough. So that's also a way to cope with it.
I feel like everyone should save this episode. Like it's a very good, just motivating, inspiring, like really just looking within at your unique self and running with that, and believing that you're worthy to do so. So that is fantastic. Are you ready? There's no good segue into this, but into our final sprint, our final 5 questions. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
I was born ready.
I think we can all feel that. Okay, what's one goal you achieved that initially you weren't sure you could reach?
I think having a company that is 90% led by women, and like we are so many in my company, considering how the industry normally operates, is not that I thought like, oh, I will never be able, but I never thought like, I thought like, maybe I need a man to be the creative, or maybe I need a man to do X, because that's what I saw in the industry, Then I had my mindset set on like, I will interview more female, like I will do this, I will try, but I wasn't sure whether, what the outcome will be. And now that the outcome is like 90% female, and that we have a lot of results, I will say that that's something that was my goal, but I wasn't sure whether I could reach it or not. And I did, so I'm happy now.
What is your go-to pump-up song?
Well, Shakira just launched an album, and she's my one. I love her. And there is a song that it's called Como, Cuando y Donde. She just launched it, and it's so, like, it encouraged you to go and live your life. Like, go take your towel and go to the beach and just live life. And I know life can be tough, but, it's also today what you have. So you just need to go and have fun. So now, like, I'm listening, that song is also one that is rock from the whole album. She has like different genres, and this one is rock. So it's pretty cool. And then I also have another artist that I love, which is called Kakush. He's a singer-songwriter from Argentina that lives in New York. And he wrote an album based on our love story because he's my partner. So I love to listen to that album because it really shows our whole love story. And there is a song that I wrote that is on the album. So yeah, I love him too.
What? Oh, can
That's
you
sweet.
set? That is, you guys can't see my face right now. That's so beautiful. I'm going to link to those in the show notes, everybody. The songs you were talking about, both from your partner, and of course, the amazing Shakira as well.
Of course.
All right. What's your favorite way to unwind after a busy day?
Lately, it's going to museums. I know it might sound super artsy or like, oh, museums, sometimes it feels like it's not like a park. But to me, it's really a place where it's a lot of art around you, and you can, like, there is silent, but it's not as a library, which is super silent. It's, like life is happening while you are in the museum. And I love just going there, sit and write. I'm writing some books. So every time I have like time to disconnect a little bit, I try to go to a museum. In New York, you have many. So I will say that's lately my way to disconnect and have fun.
What is one thing that always makes you laugh out loud?
There is a channel in my company, in the Slack channel, that it's called memes. And my team put memes out of everything, like our clients, ourselves. It's always funny. And I like to see their creativity, because I feel memes are the way people really like. It's a pretty strong language lately, and people communicate through memes. So I love to see their creativity, and like always challenge myself to maybe come up with a meme to put there, so they know that, the CEO is also fun. No, but in
Yeah.
general, I love it and I have fun. And I also laugh a lot about myself. I like to make
Yeah.
some jokes all the time and like have fun. So I think those two.
Yes, I'm right there. I'm right there with you. You got to be able to laugh at yourself, for
Yeah.
sure. Okay, last one. Name one woman in sports who inspires you and share why.
Can I name two?
You sure can.
Okay, so one is Yulimar Rojas. She's from Venezuela, and she's triple jumper who holds the world record in this field, like triple jump. She's amazing, and she comes from a hard background in Venezuela, and I saw her like winning this medal goal, and it's just so inspiring to see her like achieving this, especially because also in Venezuela, athletes don't have as much as possibilities and access or support from the government. So seeing her internationally, globally, achieving these goals was amazing. And another one, and I think this is one of the messages that I want people to keep, it's Shakira. And I tell you why. She's not an athlete. She's not known for sports, even though she participates. She's a sportly like herself. But I mean, we saw her like in different tournaments singing, and I feel, and she's also like fan of sports. Like all the time, like if you follow her, you will see her like going to different type of sports or practicing, not from a non-professional level. And I think for girls, it's important to see that even though you're not an athlete and you don't want to follow like sports as a career, you can always have it as, as a way to entertain yourself, as a way to have fun, as a way to consume also like what type of things, because you, by consuming sports, you learn a lot about discipline, about teamwork, like just by seeing sports. So I think it's kind of weird because she's not like a sport role model, but to me, a lot of sports that I follow, it's because I saw her consuming, and it got my attention. And I feel we also need that. In tech, it happened the same. You feel like, or kids or girls feel like if they are not techie or engineers, they cannot be part of the tech industry. Or if they are not athletes, they cannot be part of the sports industry. And I think that's wrong. Like that's false, and that should change, because you can be part of the sport universe if you like it, regardless of you being an athlete or not. So I think that's important.
Yes.
And so those are my two.
Yes, those are very good. Alejandra, this conversation has been so fun. I could talk to you forever. What if people want to get in touch with you and continue the conversation? How can they do that?
Well, I'm active on LinkedIn and Instagram. I guess we will put the links, but it's Ale Anais Salazar. We will put it in the description. And I'm about to launch my YouTube channel with vlogs with my trips, events, and like, the backstage of my life as a CEO and founder. I'm excited about that, and that should come next month. So it's mostly for marketers, corporate leaders, and creative industry enthusiasts, but I think everyone can have fun. So yeah,
Yeah.
those are the ways.
Thank you so much for sharing your time with
Thank you for
us.
having
This was
me.
great. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Ladies, now it's your turn. I encourage you to take action on the insights that were shared today. We've gone on quite the journey in this episode, but there is one nugget I'm eager for you to grasp and utilize to make an immediate positive impact on your career. Have you ever been giving advice that felt more reflective of the other person's fears rather than your potential? Let's explore that for a minute. In our careers, when we try new things or feel stuck, it is common to seek out advice. But it's important to recognize when the advice is limited by others' limiting beliefs instead of your capabilities. Take Alejandra. She trusted her gut. She rejected the limiting advice given to her, and she bravely launched her own business at the age of 22. Her story really exemplifies the power of believing in oneself. She didn't just take their advice. Instead, she asked herself, well, what if they're wrong? And took the first step towards her dreams. So the question becomes, how do you know when to reject advice? Upon receiving advice, I urge you to pause and reflect. Sometimes you instantly feel a disconnect, and I want you to trust that intuition. It is perfectly okay to disregard advice that doesn't align with your truth. However, not all advice makes you instantly say no. Some may echo your own worries, making you even more unsure. When this happens, think carefully about why you're thinking of following this advice. Is it just one person's opinion, or is it something you're hearing over and over again? Does it offer a feeling of security, but it stops you from growing? With this mindset, moving forward, I challenge you to examine advice that you encounter through a lens of empowerment, not limitation. Ask yourself, does this advice propel me forward, or does it hold me back? This week, I want you to zero in on a piece of advice you've been thinking about. Apply the empowerment filter. Ask yourself, does it push you towards your true potential, or is it time to part ways with this advice? Once you make a decision, once it's decided, I want you to take a decisive step in the direction of your dreams. All right, my friends, until next week. In the meantime, it is your turn. Go out there, take some action, and craft your narrative of success.